I want to take you back to a single, really specific weekend. We're talking February 7th through the 9th, 2026.
Right.
If you were driving through the South Bay of Los Angeles during that, 48-hour window, you would have seen two scenes.
Two scenes that just feel like they're from completely different worlds.
Exactly. They seem completely unrelated, but they actually tell the exact same story about where the economy is going.
It's a real tale of two cities moment, isn't it? But, instead of London and Paris, it's Manhattan Beach and San Pedro.
Right. So, okay, scene one, you're in Manhattan Beach, super wealthy, manicured, everything is expensive.
Yep.
And there is a flaming car that has just crashed directly into the lobby of a high-end Deloitte office building.
I mean, you can't make this up.
Literally smashing into the facade of the corporate world, glass everywhere, emergency crews, the whole thing.
It's such a visceral image. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better metaphor for the fragility of physical real estate right now.
Okay, hold that thought. Now, cut to scene two. A few miles south in San Pedro. You're inside this dusty, historic 1922 JCPenney building.
Yeah.
But instead of department store mannequins, you have this futuristic content farm.
With a massive, a 30-foot digital screen broadcasting video of local artists.
One is just destruction and fragility. The other is this weird digital rebirth.
And that's really the mission for this deep dive. We're not just looking at local news blotters here.
No.
We've analyzed the intelligence reports from that weekend to really unpack this dual-speed economy.
Right.
We're seeing a region that is, at the same time, booming with what we call hard tech and, struggling with the collapse of traditional retail and office space.
So we've got three layers to get through today. First, that hard tech renaissance happening in Torrance and Hawthorne was way bigger than I realized.
It is.
Second, the crumbling safety of the built environment. That's the burning car, plus some lawsuits we need to get into. And finally, the solution. How businesses are using digital authority to survive when the physical world is, failing them.
It's a fascinating mix. We've got AI-powered chips, helicopter operating systems, and gas station delis.
I know it sounds totally disjointed, but stick with us
Right.
because by the end, you'll see how a gas station deli and a space laser are driven by the exact same economic force.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's start with the muscle of the economy here.
Yeah.
We usually hear Silicon Beach and we think of, cinema, Snap, social media,
Yeah.
soft tech.
Right.
But the reports from February suggest the South Bay is doing something totally different. It's locking in its identity as the hub for hard tech.
That distinction is so vital. Soft tech is code. You can write it from a coffee shop in Bali, from a bedroom in Austin.
Right.
Hard tech is atoms. It's physical engineering. You need factories, you need clean rooms, and you need a massive amount of power. And the headline act here is a company called Navitas Semiconductor in Torrance.
They dropped a huge announcement on the morning of Monday, February 9th. They unveiled a 10-kilowatt DC-DC power platform. Now, I read that and my eyes glazed over a little bit. To the average listener, that just sounds like technical word salad.
Yeah.
Why is this a headline?
It matters because of the AI bottleneck. Look, we all know AI is exploding. Everyone is using it. But we rarely talk about the physical cost.
The power draw.
The power draw. AI data centers are incredibly thirsty. They consume electricity like small nations. And more importantly, they generate a massive amount of heat.
So the problem isn't the software, it's that the computers are literally getting too hot to run efficiently.
Exactly. Traditional silicon chips, the stuff that built Silicon Valley, they're hitting a physical limit. When you push too much power through silicon, it resists. Resistance creates heat. Heat kills performance.
Okay.
Navitas is pivoting the industry to two new materials, gallium nitride or GaN, and silicon carbide or SiC.
Gallium nitride. GaN fast. It sounds like something Tony Stark invented in a cave.
It does, but it's very real physics. Think of gallium nitride as a wider highway for electrons compared to silicon. It lets electricity pass through with much less resistance. So less resistance means less heat and higher speed. Navitas reported a peak efficiency of 98.5% with this new platform.
98.5%. So almost zero energy is wasted as heat.
Precisely. And in a hyperscale data center like what Google or Microsoft runs, a fractional improvement in efficiency, even 0.5%, saves millions of dollars in cooling costs.
Wow.
You just don't need as many giant fans spinning to keep the servers from melting down.
But the metric that really stood out to me in the report was power density. They're hitting 2.1 kilowatts per cubic inch.
That is the aha number per cubic inch. Real estate inside a data center rack is incredibly expensive.
I can imagine.
If you can pack twice the power into the same physical inch, you effectively double the capacity of your data center without building a new building. Navitas isn't just selling a chip. They're selling the infrastructure that keeps the AI bubble from bursting.
So Torrance is effectively powering the AI revolution, but from the hardware side. But if we move over to El Segundo, we see a totally different flavor of hard tech.
Right.
There's a company called Skyryse that just hit unicorn status.
That's a huge milestone, a $1.15 billion valuation after I think it was a $300 million Series C round.
And this is unusual because usually when we talk aerospace in El Segundo, we're talking about building new fighter jets or satellites. Heavy manufacturing.
It's heavy. Skyryse is doing something smarter. They aren't building the plane, they're building the brain.
They call it SkyOS, a universal operating system for flight.
Right. Think about the current state of aviation. There are thousands of helicopters, Blackhawks, medical choppers, you name it, that are mechanically sound. The metal is fine,
Okay.
but the cockpit, it's analog, it's complex, it requires thousands of hours of training to fly.
So Skyryse isn't trying to build a whole new helicopter from scratch. They're just taking a Blackhawk and giving it an upgrade.
It's a retrofit play. They're automating the flight controls to make flying safer and way simpler. Think of it like installing iOS onto a machine that was previously running on punch cards.
Which would explain the valuation. It's a much higher margin to sell software that fixes old hardware than to build a whole new helicopter factory.
Correct. And economically, this just challenges that whole California exodus narrative we keep hearing.
Right, that tech is leaving.
People say tech is leaving, but hard tech can't leave that easily. You can't move a clean room or a flight testing facility to a Zoom call. You need the aerospace engineers who live in El Segundo. Skyryse is doubling down. They're expanding facilities. They're hiring.
And that talent pool, that spills over into Hawthorne, right? The report mentions the integration of Elon Musk's XAI with SpaceX.
This is the space AI merger. The vision that's emerging from Hawthorne is fascinating. They're looking at space-based AI data centers.
Wait, putting the servers in orbit?
Why not? I mean, think about the constraints we just talked about with the Navitas, power and heat. In space, you have unlimited solar power, and you can cool the servers using the cold vacuum of space. Hawthorne is becoming the ground command for an entire orbital computing network that creates a floor for the local economy.
How so?
Well, even if the consumer economy crashes, you still need people to man the controls for the space network.
Speaking of the economy crashing, we have to look at the other side of the coin in Torrance. You have space lasers and orbital data centers, and then you have motor car parts of America.
The gritty, grease under the fingernails side of this deep dive. I love this part of the report.
They released earnings that same Monday, $167.7 million in revenue. And they do. What exactly? They remanufacture alternators.
Alternators and starters, and this is what we call a counter-cyclical anchor.
Meaning they do better when the economy does worse.
Basically, when interest rates are high like they have been, people can't afford a new Tesla. They can't even afford a used Toyota.
So they fix the old car.
So they keep their 2014 Honda running. When the starter dies, they don't scrap the car, they buy a remanufactured starter from MPAA.
So while Skyryse is betting on the future of flight, MPAA is betting on the fact that we're all too broke to buy new cars.
And both are correct. That's the strength of the South Bay right now. It has the high-risk, high-reward startups, and it has the recession-proof industrial base keeping the warehouses full.
Okay, so the industrial layer is strong. But let's talk about where actual people live and work. The report calls this section the fragility of the built environment. And this brings us right back to that flaming car in Manhattan Beach.
Saturday, February 7th. 7:45 p.m., Rosecrans and North Redondo Ave.
It wasn't just a car accident. It felt symbolic.
Right.
A car careening into a class of Deloitte office building.
Obviously, we hope everyone involved is okay. But if we look at this through an economic lens, it highlights a massive vulnerability in commercial real estate.
True story.
That building houses premium tenants. When a car crashes into the lobby, it triggers what's called quiet enjoyment clauses in leases.
Quiet enjoyment. I've seen that in rental contracts. It sounds nice, but what does it actually mean legally?
It means the landlord has a duty to guarantee a safe, usable environment where the tenant can operate without interference. If a car is sitting in your lobby or the structural integrity is compromised, the tenant can say, "You breached the lease, I'm not paying rent," or "I'm breaking the lease entirely."
And in a world where remote work is already killing office value.
Exactly. Companies are looking for any excuse to shed office space. A physical security breach like this makes the C-suite ask, why are we paying a premium for this street-facing visibility if it just makes us a target? It pushes the needle further toward remote.
It's not just offices, though. The residential market is showing cracks, too. The report detailed a lawsuit filed on February 9th in Torrance about house flip.
The case against Staged and Sold, Inc. This is a cautionary tale for anyone thinking real estate is easy passive income.
Okay, what happened?
A couple bought a flipped house in July 2023. Now, they're alleging $80,000 in damages because of unpermitted windows and patio doors that leaked water everywhere.
Oh, the classic lipstick on a pig renovation.
It happens. But look at the macro trend. We have aging housing stock in the South Bay homes built in the 50s.
Right.
Flippers try to modernize them, but with interest rates so high, their profit margins are razor thin. So they cut corners on permits, they skip inspection.
Now the homeowners are suing.
Which freezes the market. If the whole fix and flip ecosystem gets bogged down in litigation, that liquidity just dries up. Lenders stop lending to flippers. It makes the housing market much riskier than people realize.
So offices are vulnerable. Flips are risky. What about retail? This one actually hurt me personally. Reagan Cajun Cafe in Redondo Beach is closing.
After 32 years, it's a tragedy for the local culture.
March 1st, 2026 is the last day. I mean, they started in Hermosa. They had a food truck on Food Network. Why are they closing? They always seem busy.
Being busy isn't enough anymore. The report cites the unholy trinity: rising rent, rising labor costs, and food inflation. Reagan Cajun had a traditional model. Sit-down service, large footprint, big staff. That model is just being squeezed to death. You simply cannot sell enough gumbo to cover the overhead of a prime Redondo Beach lease.
But then you compare that to Mickey's Deli. They've been in Hermosa since 1953, and they are expanding.
But look where they're expanding. They aren't opening a big romantic restaurant. They are opening a second location inside a mobile gas station in North Redondo.
Wait, really? A gas station?
Yes, and this is the trend. Gas station gourmet. It sounds funny, but it is brilliant economics.
How so?
Well, think about the overhead. You share the rent with the gas station. You have guaranteed foot traffic because people need fuel regardless of the economy. You don't need waiters or hosts. You just need a counter and a cook.
So they're pivoting.
Mickey's is pivoting to a high-volume, low-overhead model. Ragin' Cajun just couldn't pivot fast enough.
That is a stark contrast. Adapt or die. And speaking of adaptation, we noticed a note about gentrification moving inland. There's a new 265-unit luxury apartment complex in Gardena
at 12888 Crenshaw Boulevard. This connects right back to our first topic. Gardena has traditionally been a working-class industrial city.
Right.
But with Skyryse and SpaceX expanding just down the road, those engineers making unicorn-level salaries, they need places to live.
And they can't afford Manhattan Beach anymore.
Right, or they just don't want the commute. So developers are betting that the tech enclave is going to push prices up in Gardena. It's the gentrification wave moving east, all driven by that hard tech boom.
Okay, so we've established the old world, traditional offices, sit-down dining, sloppy house flips. It's crumbling. The new world of hard tech is booming, but it's exclusive.
It is.
What happens to everyone else? If you aren't building rockets and you don't own a gas station, what do you do?
This is where the report pivots to the third layer, and frankly, the most actionable part for our listeners, digital authority.
And this takes us to San Pedro, the San Pedro local market.
This is one of the most interesting experiments in the report. It's located in that 1922 JCPenney building we mentioned at the top. They've turned it into what they call an anti-mall.
An anti-mall, meaning no chains, no Starbucks.
Exactly. No Gap, no Starbucks. It's all small artisans, local crafters, independent sellers. But usually those places fail because they don't get any traffic.
Sure.
So San Pedro installed a digital engine, a 16 by 30 foot immersive digital wall.
30 feet wide. That's basically an IMAX screen inside a market.
It totally dominates the space, and they use it for something called content farming.
Content farming.
Imagine you're a vendor selling handcrafted leather wallets. You tell your story to a customer. That interaction gets filmed by the production labs located downstairs.
Voxel micro video labs.
Right. Minutes later, a cinema-quality broadcast of you telling your story is playing on that giant screen. It turns a random shopper into a superfan instantly because they see you as a star on the big screen.
It bridges that gap between the physical handshake and digital fame.
And Voxel's strategy for this is something every listener really needs to hear. They call it the vertical slice.
I love this part of the report because I struggle with this all the time. It addresses format fatigue.
Oh, yeah.
YouTube wants horizontal video. TikTok wants vertical video.
And most people solve this by filming on their phone vertically. But then it looks terrible on a desktop or a TV. It just looks amateur.
Right. You look like a bloogie potato.
Exactly. Voxel's solution is technical, but it's elegant. They film everything in 4K landscape.
So standard widescreen movie mode.
Yes. But, and this is the trick, they frame the subject perfectly in the center, 30% of the screen. They leave a lot of dead space on the left and right.
Okay, so you're just in the middle. Why?
The full wide shot goes to YouTube. It looks expensive, high production value. But for TikTok and Reels, they simply crop that middle third. And because they shot in 4K resolution, when you zoom in on that middle slice, it's still 1080p crisp. It doesn't look grainy.
So you film once, but you populate 2 platforms with high-end content.
Precisely. They gave the example of a Manhattan Beach personal trainer. He records a 20-minute deep dive on back pain. The full 20 minutes goes to YouTube that builds long-term trust search traffic.
Sure.
But then the editors find one 45-second nugget where he explains the hip flexor. They vertical slice that and boom, viral reel.
That's so efficient. It's the Navitas approach, but applied to content. High efficiency, low waste.
And that is the core message of the South Bay Creators Guide. In this new economy, the market punishes generalists. If you are just a lawyer or a trainer, you're invisible. You need digital authority. You need to be the expert who creates the content library.
It really connects everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The big guys like Navitas and Skyryse are specialists in hard tech. The surviving small businesses are specialists in digital content.
And the ones in the middle, the generic office buildings, the standard sit-down restaurants like Raging Cajun, those are the ones getting squeezed out.
They don't have a specialty.
They have neither the high-tech moat nor the digital efficiency.
So let's bring this home for the listener. What is the takeaway here?
I think the takeaway is that we're living in a dual economy, and safety is an illusion. We used to think a Class A office building was a safe investment.
Sure.
But a single car accident or a shift in remote work culture can tank its value overnight. We used to think a 30-year-old restaurant was a safe bet. It's not.
Whereas the risky stuff, the startups, the digital content, that's actually where the resilience is.
Exactly. If you own a business, you have to look at Mickey's Deli or Voxel Labs. You have to pivot toward high efficiency. You either need the lowest physical overhead possible, like the gas station model, or the highest digital profile possible, like the vertical slice strategy.
You can't just open the doors and expect people to come anymore.
No. The build it and they will come era is over. Now it's broadcast it and they might come.
It's a lot to digest.
Uh-huh.
From a burning car in Manhattan Beach to a helicopter OS in El Segundo.
It forces you to rethink what an asset really is.
That's the question I want to leave the listener with. We've always been told that real estate is the ultimate safe harbor, brick and mortar. But if a beloved deli only survives by moving into a gas station and a corporate fortress can be taken out by a Toyota, is the safest real estate investment today actually the digital real estate of a 4K video library?
That library can't be crashed into by a car, and it works for you 24/7.
Something to think about as you drive down Rosecrans. Thanks for listening to this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.
Stay curious.